Welcome back to Tricks of the Trade. What I have here is a can opener, which is a model 203 Edlund, and it's 115 volts. They make two, which is a 220 and one's a 115. So when you're ordering your parts, just make sure you're checking out the 115 and the model 203. The problem here is it's not completely cutting and the power is kind of weak. And there's two things. So if these get dull, they won't cut as fast and they'll slow down and start peeling. The other thing is the brushes on the inside. So what I'm going to show you is the parts that actually I got were on Amazon, and I called Edlund themselves and they said they couldn't get the brushes. Well, here they are, B117. And then if you flip back over here, it's a KT2326, which is your complete cutter and your gear. I'm going to show you how to repair them. And also, if it's not turning on at all, I'll also show you how to fix that. So this is basically a troubleshooting for an electric can opener, which you can use across the board for different models to kind of get an idea of what's going on. Alright, so what we're going to do is start with taking the front, holding plate and cutter and wheel off. What we're going to need for this is a 10mm, 11mm, 9mm socket, pick, punch, hammer, a long extension, and a ratchet. Right, so we're going to start by taking the top of this off. And then just be mindful there's a plate, washer plate in here. Just line them all up. And then on this, what you want to do, this is threaded on and not pressed on, so you can break that shaft if you try to do something else. And that unthreads off. What you got here is the two screws and your switch. Now this whole piece flips up and around. Then you have your switch, and a lot of times you'll see a bunch of scrap in here. This one's used for big tomato jars. I think they did like $2.50 a day or something, so it gets its use. Alright, and what we're going to do is you're going to see back here. So basically how this works, when you pull that down, it's a micro switch. And then that engages the jaws and spins the drive gear. So if it's not turning on, check your connections here, and then also your micro switch. Okay, there's a way you can ohm it out and test to see if it's working or not, and also you can get a voltage meter and plug it in and check the voltage, but obviously be careful when you do that. Alright, so what I do from here is you're going to get this, you're going to get an 11mm socket, which is right there. You're going to come in from the back side. So you got one 11mm, two 11mm. Okay? Now a lot of times, so be mindful, these are like $900, right? And right now the guy called me up and they're back ordered. So they're back ordered for 3 months. So if you're doing this for a business and you don't have the time, you have the money but you don't have the time, or vice versa, or both, then this is the way to do it. And a lot of times they want you to send them out for repairs, which is going to take longer too. So if you do it yourself, just take your time. And these videos are great because you can kind of, or any video in general, it kind of helps you. And you can see if you did already take it apart and you're like, oh man, I forget where that goes. You always have the video. Okay, so then you're just going to slide this back. And you want to put this one back on. Alright, so we got that off. And what we're going to do, since it was weak power, I'm going to check into the brushes and see what we have going on here. And the gearbox, you have a gear reduction box which turns it and reduces the gear to spin it slower, but also have a lot of power in the machining process. So what I'm going to show you first, I guess, is the brushes. So I did get brushes to replace because I have a feeling that they're going to be not as they're going to be worn. But like I said, I couldn't find them anywhere except upon doing a little digging, picture matching. I found on Amazon. You guys can check out their sites. But so these are those. They're kind of pushed down. The springs push on them, but I'll show you. So what you're going to do is get this piece off and just pry it. Be careful because these are here. And if you're working in the cold, I suggest warming everything up in warmer temperatures, which that way you can not hopefully break any of these plastics. And what you're going to do is pull this back, and you got this piece. Kind of going to pull that back too, and then dump your brush out. So you see this one's worn, right? And you're good. Good wear on that. And let's check this one. Oh yeah, look, and that one even has more. So that's where the power loss was. It was still working, but just wasn't as powerful. Okay, so now what I'm going to show you is your gearbox. Alright, so what you have here is your nuts that hold your gearbox on here and also up here. So there's a nut and a screw, and then in between there's like a larger nut that connects both of them to a stud, and the screw obviously with the nut hole, but I'll show you how that works out. So you get the 10. A lot of this stuff isn't super tight. Okay, so once you pop that off, goes over here. We're going to have a 9 millimeter, and then screws. A lot of the times when you do this, the backs will come off and they'll loosen up both ways, and you're going to have to hold the one side with the screw and then screwdriver, and then the back side with a socket. think that's it. Alright, now when you take this off, hopefully I can do this to show you, because the orientation can get off real easy because there's washers in there. Anytime you take gearboxes off, you want to be really careful and have it oriented like north or south, or like vertical like this, because if you have it inside, the gears will fall out. Alright, so you have 2 washers on that. So this is the gearbox that you can kind of pull out and just check, but those are the stud nuts and that I was talking about, so sometimes they'll loosen up on the inside. And what you're going to have here is your gear. That has your shaft on it. And sometimes these gears wear down, so you just want to check, kind of rotate it, check the teeth around it. Sometimes they spin on that shaft down in here, so you just want to make sure everything's kind of tight. And those gears sit like that. So you just go around, kind of check it, just make sure they're greased up. You always spin the bottom one. Top one, because the gear reduction just kind of flops around, but you spin the bottom one to make sure there's nothing, no imperfections. Now when I put it back together, it's kind of always easier to do it this way, where just take some of this grease and mix it around. Grease isn't too bad, sometimes you can replace it if you need to, but it's sealed, so it really, this is all not old grease either. Then this washer goes on here. Can't forget those 2 washers. And just make sure everything spins free. And we check this. Check the bushings, make sure they're not worn, oblonged. And just make sure everything's seated completely around and you don't spin it. Like there's no gap over here, and then you kind of over tighten it. If it doesn't fit together, something is not right. I always just spray with a little kind of cleaner, get all the grease off. You got your smaller ones up here. Yeah, you can fast forward past this part. I'm just in the beginning of this video making process, so I don't edit anything, and there's no guesswork on how it went together or how hard it went together. A lot of videos you watch, they edit them and you don't see how the heck they did it. It seems like it takes like a million years for you to do it, and you watch it on the video and it looks so easy. So I evenly kind of just snug them. And don't forget about the larger nuts down here, which are these. And you can strip those out real easy too, so remember you just need it a little over snug and nothing crazy because they just strip out super easy. Let's have that. Let's double check these guys. I just always go through and check all the linkages. Sure everything's tight. And just check all the wires. Sure there's no loose connection. Especially when you're moving this stuff around, you can possibly dislodge or take something off.